Hi Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to Ethernal Realms. We will see how this Aries eclipse is going to impact you. This one's taking place on the 20th of April and it will be taking place in the 29th degree of the zodiac. 8 minutes after the eclipse goes exact, the Sun and the Moon start shifting towards Taurus. So there is a carryover effect of whatever happens in the Aries cycle. So in your case, that would be in terms of your work life, your health, your routines, just lifestyles, mental, emotional, and physical habits, things like that. That can have a leak over to your area of relationships or the communications that you have with other people, the connections that you build. It can be that, for example, if you're not feeling very good, if you are feeling exhausted, you're less likely to interact with different people, right? So there is kind of a close tie with these topics. Also, we still have the North and the South node still in Taurus Scorpio axis, South node being in your zodiac, so you're definitely being quite heavily impacted by this. Not only because of the presence of the nodes, but also Pluto, your ruler, is squaring this eclipse. That means there can be some power struggles or internal conflicts that can arise. Perhaps there's something you're trying to create, but then there is like another factor or another change that comes in regarding your home or through your private self. Pluto is in 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is also a very critical degree, a very pivotal point. So there can be a completely new beginning that is coming through here. But squares are not always about stress and tension. They only bring about stress and tension when we are resisting a certain change or something is really overdue, and this is the moment where we start getting frustrated and we're like, you know what, I'm done with this. Right, so this can also signify breakthroughs in things that have been stuck in a rut, cycles that have been continually being passed down from generation to generation and so on and so forth, so that we can create a better sense of abundance, not only for us, but also for the legacies down the line. Okay, so really big topics here. Even though the nodes are in your zodiac, it does not look like it will be impacting similarly as last year. But yes, okay, let's see your cards and kind of see what we get here. So we have Kundalini, which is about the sacred serpent within us. This is the serpent of transformation and unlocking your inner power. So this looks really good to me. And again, in the process of raising this inner power, we encounter certain blocks that are present in each of these chakras or each of these, energetic centers within our bodies. So if there is a resistance or a blockage or any sort of hindrance in any of those spaces, we might feel, let's say, a sore throat if we have a block in the throat. Or when it comes to the root, we might feel a little bit unsteady. If it's in the head, we might feel a little bit dizzy. But that is really about kind of healing itself. The body is healing itself and we feel those symptoms as a result of that. So there might be some physical sensations that you get around this time, which is basically leading to a sort of awakening or a healing or releasing of certain toxins. Okay, so nothing to be afraid about. It's a temporary state if you feel something strongly around the time of the eclipse specifically. If not, this eclipse is playing out for at least the coming 6 months, but majority of the times I see that it already expresses its full force 3 to 4 months after the eclipse happens. But yes, there is a little bit of that window till the 6 months, depending on what circumstances you're going through. So the more times you take matters into your own hands, the more frequent or more sensitively are you going to be responding to these eclipses, right? So yeah, it depends on you. But yes, there is definitely some transformation, letting go of difficulties and coming out even stronger, regeneration taking place here. And we have the air element coming through, which is so interesting. It can correspond with I did give the throat chakra example, but it can also be related to your heart. Because the heart chakra corresponds with the air element. It's about the circulation of thoughts, feelings, and everything vital. We absolutely need oxygen, right? So it's kind of that, your breathing force, your life force, kind of knowledge and other ideas just flowing to you very effortlessly, you being able to translate that into further action if needed, or incorporated that into your being as wisdom, is very likely beyond this eclipse here. That whenever we talk about 29 degrees, 0 degrees, these are like, urgent spaces. We must urgently begin, or we must urgently close a previous chapter in order to make ourselves ready for the next phase. So there is a sense of purpose attached to these particular angles. So there can be a realization or a breakthrough that happens, and you're like, you know what, I'm changed forever, or I vow that I will do this, this, and this, or this is where I want to direct my attention, my focus, and so on too. There can also be a recognition that, you want to maintain a certain type of lifestyle or incorporate a certain type of habit, but not for the sake of resolutions or kind of creating literally a revolution in your everyday life, but it's a lot more deep down than that. When we talk about these two cards, it gives you a sense of meaning and purpose. Those are the types of habits you would incorporate or desire to incorporate. And you might really explore different options on how you can actually go about doing that in a practical setting. Okay, then we have the third house, which talks about communication once more. Also your thought process of things you say to yourself, to others, and also to spirit. Verbal and non-verbal communication. You can also talk about your community, your surroundings, the type of people you collaborate with or work with. You can also connect with siblings. Perhaps you're getting or you have a spiritual bond with your sibling. That's usually the case, actually, whether you have a good relationship with them here on earth or not. There is a spiritual connection that comes with that particular bond, and it's there for a certain purpose. So something of that sort could be coming into fulfillment or awareness around this time. I'm also getting intricate details. You're seeing intricate details in a certain circumstance, or in just your own life evaluation, or in understanding someone else. You're just understanding a specific nuance that kind of is the last piece of the puzzle. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm getting here. And it can also correspond with kind of a mindset shift, right? If you look at it differently, you might find that missing puzzle piece. Okay. Very nice. Also, I'm hearing clearing. Okay, we have the first house coming through, not surprising. We still have the South Node there. There are some personal detoxifications you might be doing, but it also talks about a change in personality, attitude, or just the way that you see the world in general, the reality that you experience. There is a new beginning coming up for you personally here, and you can recognize it very consciously. Things that happen in the fourth house, they can go very unnoticed, right? You can feel a sense of discomfort or comfort, but it's not really so loud and clear that it's kind of on the top of your head, unless we have some prominent planets going on. So that's why when Saturn was transiting this house for the previous 3 years, and also now Pluto is coming through, we might feel our unconscious urges or the suppressed desires kind of coming up to the surface and making themselves very much known and clear. I also feel you're making friends with your shadow self. There's no running around. I'm not seeing a lot of fear. It's as though you're meeting it, you're acknowledging it, kind of working with it. And that's highly empowering. You're very much conscious and aware. I would not be surprised if some of you have an awakening experience here with these two particular cards, and also these. We have South Node. Wow. Okay. Past life, comfort, resource, instinct, and familiar. For some of you, it could be past life karma that is getting detoxed, or it can be that certain relationships you have in your current lifetime are remnants of previous lifetime, which are trying to kind of work themselves out. So certain things might just make sense, which is actually personal to you. You might not even share with anyone else, but you just understand, and it just makes very clear, deep sense, and you know that that is the answer that you have been looking for. It also indicates that you have so much power within yourself, in your thoughts and your abilities to manifest, that you're kind of able to channel it very consciously as well. So you're very aware what you create when you are angry for a prolonged period of time, or when you're stressed or feeling pressured for a long period of time. You're very clear on what type of reality you cultivate and how you personally do that, because everyone has a different way of manifesting their world, and everybody is capable of manifesting their world. There is no algorithm, there is no specific set of rules. There are many methods we could try out, but then ultimately, as you get the grips of it, it is very natural to kind of switch things up and do things a little bit your way, and that's what works for you, right? So there can be something of that sort, a particular insight that comes in that just makes absolute sense to you and brings you a sense of clarity. Then we have midheaven perfect. We have individuality, career goals, your public life, and your reputation as well. There can be a rise in your recognition by people around you, more likely immediately surrounded by you. If you have social media, then perhaps through that. But it can also be like your neighbors, also your siblings or cousins might be calling you more often, asking you for advice. Perhaps you are in a more advantaged position and you are able to help other people by coming up to a more noticeable platform. When the South Node is in your sign, it could have felt like you were sitting kind of in the back seat of the car. You're not really doing much, but by observation you actually learned so much. By releasing certain things and taking some time off, whether it is mentally, emotionally, or even physically, you are releasing certain things in order to make way for much better things to come in. So it feels as though those things are making more sense. You can actually see where you have done the work and how much effect it has had, because even other people are noticing that. Not only is it conscious to you, but midheaven is people around you, even the strangers, they see you differently. Okay. There can be some career changes as well. Perhaps you have been thinking about letting something go. This would be the time that you have that resolve, that inner power, and also an awareness, foresight of what might happen if you do a certain or take a certain step. And you might be inclined to make certain changes here, perhaps start something of your own. And it also says goals. So you have this inner resolution to pursue any goals that have seemed daunting to you in the past. Okay, we have the Queen of Cups, which is your zodiac, your element. So Queen of Cups is a water zodiac, very empathetic, intuitive, compassionate, immediately connected with her higher self. She does not get angry for just about any reason. She doesn't get too happy for just about any reason. She's very measured in her emotions. She's aware of all the ups and downs, but she does not react to any of those things. She's very responsive. That's what makes her emotionally wise. That's how she can connect with other people and not be afraid of getting hurt or taken advantage of, or any of those, difficult dynamics that we generally encounter in life. She's very strong because she is the authority of her emotions. She decides what goes in, she decides what goes out. And with this card here, it feels as though it's very easy to purge, okay? If in the previous past 3 years, it has been a little bit difficult to let go of certain things, difficult to forgive a situation, person, or the past, this is the time where it starts feeling a little bit easier to let go, because this is double water. Cups is water, Queen is water. So I feel the flow and the harmony is automatically kind of being created in your life. I feel like Pluto is helping you a lot in making this purge happen. Okay, but be aware that there might be a rise in emotions around this time or in the coming 3-4 months. Or in other words, you might be able to notice your emotions a lot more clearly. So yeah, it does not kind of just go to the back of your mind, which kind of usually happens when we are really busy with life. But yeah, it feels as though when you feel upset, it's clear to you that you're upset at a certain point. Okay, if you're happy, it's very clear to you you're happy. But you're kind of using this awareness and knowledge to your advantage. Some of you could be becoming a little bit more sensitive as well. It can be a result of the awakening, by the way. Oh, Kundalini also reminds me, chakra work, perhaps you're balancing, healing your chakras individually through meditation, or it could be through Reiki practice, self-healing, things like that. All right, we have the Page of Wands, which is super exciting, very lighthearted, extremely creative. We have the Nine of Pentacles, Venus in Virgo, very nice, we like that. We have the Four of Swords, which is recovery, Jupiter in Libra, good to know. There is definitely healing in whichever way that there has been suffering. Yeah, there you go, we have the Nine of Swords with despair, Mars in Gemini. The ruler of the zodiac and also your co-ruler, Mars, is going to be in Cancer. So generally, Mars is not very happy in that sign. But because you're a fellow water sign, it is going to positively impact you. Like I said, your emotions and sensitivities might be on the surface a little bit, but you can use that to your advantage instead of feeling kind of bullied by it, in a sense. You can become a master of your own emotions, of your inner world. Be very clear of what you really desire. Your heart might communicate with you very clearly. You might respond very well to those subtle inner feelings. And I don't just mean, happy, sad, despair, angry, hungry, that's physiological in a sense, but a little bit deeper where it's sort of emotional, intuitive is what it's very hard to kind of give you an example here. It's just the feeling you get in a certain space with certain vibes, it's sort of that transcendent in a sense. Okay, so 9 of Pentacles. These 3 cards, the last 3 cards, they really talk about physical recovery if there has been something going on there. It can also be that your mental world is impacting your physical world a lot. It does all the time anyway, but there were certain things that were just not being noticed. But right now, there is healing in that regard. You're becoming healthy inside and out. There can be, again, new habits and routines that you might be establishing that make you feel rich and abundant. You could be, for example, gardening a little bit more, or you might be interested in going kind of very healthy, eating all greens, for example, or just improving your diet in general, exercising more, having more water, things like that, going for a run perhaps, or taking intentional baths, for example, using that as a cleansing procedure. There's something here which is physical, but it's also a little bit spiritual. Now, keep in mind that the nodes will shift to Aries and Libra axis, not at the time of this eclipse, but soon after. And that would mean your South Node is in your spiritual house, the 12th house, and your North Node will be in your 6th house. So I'm not surprised that you will kind of bringing in the spiritual side of things that you're very intuitively connected with. Whether you utilize it or not, you're just connected with that energy. So it's very likely you bring that into your physical, tangible, everyday world. So spiritual practices are not just something that you automatically do when you're asleep, which you anyway do, but also intentionally making it a practice. For example, mindfulness. That's one very simple way that we translate, spiritual knowing to physical everyday actions. It has a direct impact in that. So there can be little things that you do in your day that make you feel rich, happy, healthy, more present, more aware, and less reactive, more responsive, very empowered, very strong. And the Page of Wands is then kind of letting you be loose and up and about. You don't have to be stressed by a lot when you have these basic little things that are being taken care of. And you might not see these results immediately. There is still the transitioning curve of, the healing is still going on, the recovery is still on, but you leverage that to leverage that time to incorporate some new things that you were not able to previously, right? And over time, and I don't mean like over 6 months or something, but like over a month, for example, over a couple of weeks, you might notice a very solid difference in the way that you feel about life and yourself in general. Financially, this looks good with the 9 of Pentacles. It indicates you're very savvy with your money and you're also self-sufficient. You have a good living space. You perhaps have good neighbors as well, or you have come to a sense of acceptance regarding your neighbors or neighborhood, the community that you connect with in general. You're not taking things very personally. You're dealing with it head on. 9 of Swords can indicate the past depression or difficult thoughts or kind of chronic thoughts is something I hear. A thought pattern that has just kind of ingrained in your mind, something that has just been ongoing since childhood perhaps. For example, the tendency to expect a lot or the tendency to attach to something, a certain outcome. These sort of things, it just kind of becomes habit, right? So thought habits are being let go in some way and becoming a lot more peaceful, blissful, grounded, healthy, happy, just content and bliss. This is what I keep getting. for you. Okay. Also, in terms of creativity, you might start expressing yourself more. You're not sabotaging yourself. You're not holding yourself back, and you're not kind of letting into the insecurities that everyone goes through. You know, when you're doing something new or daunting or big, they go through that, but you don't have to react to that particular affirmation or that kind of mental blip, let's call it. Okay, so yeah, very nice. Scorpios, please, how is this Aries eclipse impacting them? Second house, Pluto in Gemini. Okay, rise in self-worth, self-empowerment here, and change in your financial circumstances. You can come up with a lot of ideas around this time to really change your financial situation for good, or even your sense of security or attachment style for good. The things that you value can also go through a bit of a transformation, or at least how you think about money. The mindset that goes into how you spend and how you earn and what exactly you earn with, and what you purchase and what that means to you. So it's not just picking something that is nice to look at necessarily, but also provide some additional value to you. You might find yourself feeling more inclined to purchase such things. Can also be related with technology, new upgrades you might be doing here, and that makes you feel a lot more confident, easy to present yourself. Yeah, you definitely have a sense of magnetism going on here, personally, of course, but also in a material financial sense. You might be attracting more clients, for example, if you deal with that, or just more, bonuses, other streams of income, if that's something that interests you. Marketing, sales, anything a little bit social is looking quite good. One more, let's go. One more for Scorpios. Pluto again, 8,000. Wow. All right, we have 8,000, Scorpio, Pluto. All of this is how it fits, really. Scorpio sits in the 8,000 normally if we go by the Aries rising, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, so insane. This one is insanely transformative, okay? In the best possible way, really. It's putting in a very meaningful end to something that is just done. It's just done. Okay, there's no point in circulating that thought anymore. No point in dealing with the same people anymore, or that same location, or the same attitude. It feels kind of like I'm done with it, so the circumstance itself has to fall away. There is a sense of you are outgrowing your own space. You are the one who's rising, not that the world is having some sort of a change of heart or something. The world's still gonna do what it does, but you just can't care about that anymore, or you don't get as bothered by external things anymore. And this also indicates that you have become very aware of your inner self. You probably have gone through some shadow work as well, and you're recognizing that your difficulties have led to your best assets, or they have given you a lot of gifts as well, and you're willing to take the lessons and the gifts, the experiences, instead of the emotion. You can acknowledge the emotion, but you don't take that with you into your next phase. It feels like a clear ending of sorts. You can, if you were to look back and kind of divide your life into chapters, this would be one of those clear marking lines where the next phase began. It's one of those things. All right, so big stuff. It looks really good though, honestly. It's unleashing you. You're becoming a little bit more fiery, and there can be some positive news that comes in, by the way. Pages bring some news, new information. There can be even a lot of information that comes in, but you're kind of coping with it like a champ, honestly. Okay. But so that's what I have for you, Scorpios. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. Let me know your thoughts. And if you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box and the comment below. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.